Right. So let's start. So today we'll have our introductory lecture about the course. Uh, that is what all we will cover in the course. What is my expectation? You can ask what me, or you can tell me what do you really want from this course. Okay. Now note that this is introductory course because there are students who have not done courses on networking and also on computer architecture. So this course requires good knowledge of CA, computer organization, because until you know how processes work, and sometimes we also need to understand that the most common threat is because of some aspects of hardware. Okay, like buffer overflow vulnerability, etc. Stack overflow vulnerability. All those things you need to understand how Intel works, but we will also go through some of these concepts. So you will be exposed at the top level to these concepts of hardware and OS. Okay. So we'll try to remain at the conceptual level. We'll give you assignments, and by that you will learn a lot of uh, techniques and so on, right? Now note that this course is online. Okay, and there'll be both pluses and minuses of the same. First thing, I may not be able to directly see you, while many of you can switch on your video or cameras, but it's not required because that will consume a lot of bandwidth. However, when I ask you questions, you may have to switch on your video, okay, or camera. All right. So there are lots of pluses. Pluses that we have flexibility. Okay, we can have classes anytime. Of course, when you have you are available, and you can also, while you are traveling, you can also attend the course. Okay, and there are minuses. A lot of minuses online courses. Biggest minus that your attention span is low. So usually, attention is, as you know, the attention span of everyone is reducing now. Okay, you cannot remain concentrated on subject for 1 hour, right? Okay, it used to be even when you're preparing for JEE for exam, your concentration levels were much higher, but not today. Okay, we lose this ability to remain focused on a subject for a very long time. So I suggest a lot of things to make it effective. First thing is that you make sure that you attend all classes. Okay, it's very important for me. Why is it important for me? How does as a teacher get any benefit by students attending the classes? Yeah, anyone? What is my benefit that you attend the class? Well, its reason is that I'm treating this as a give back to society. Okay, I'm not doing as it's not my profession to teach. I have completed my inning both as a teacher when I was teacher at the institute and about 20 years in industry. Now I am, this part of my career or life is to give back. Okay, and I'm also an investor into startups, and also I invest into equities. So this is not for my living. Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm just doing this to give back to society, nothing more than that. And I also give lectures in organizations and companies and so on, just to help people to grow and learn. All right, so my expectation is that you will remain alive in the class. When I say alive, it means that you will remain focused and you will not watch any video or WhatsApp messages or chat with somebody and so on and so forth, right? as you do in the regular class. Okay, that's another requirement. They remain attentive in the class. Now it's like, when you attend anything with focus, it becomes concentration, right? Okay, when you're concentrated on an object or a subject, then you learn. Okay, so you can have the same degree of concentration that you used to have when you're doing JW preparation. Okay. All right, so basic technique is that when you get distracted and you realize that you're distracted, bring your attention back to the class. Okay, and some of you who may be interested later on doing meditation, this is basic technique. Meditation follows concentration. Now first is concentration, then it follows meditation, right? If you look Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he says follow this, and from meditation you get to higher levels of consciousness. Okay, but at least remain focused and concentrate in the class. So if I ask you a question with the name of student, you should be able to immediately switch on your mic and answer. And don't ever give this excuse that your mic is not working or camera is not working. All right, this is absolutely foolish excuse. It rarely happens that devices are so reliable today that never happens that mic doesn't work. It will happen 1 in 1 million chances. Okay, all right. Come prepared for the class, because if you prepared for the class, if you're attentive in the previous class and you have not attended previous class for some reason, then go through the lecture notes. Okay, use a device that has a big screen, that is laptop, so you can read the content properly, right? Don't using mobile is not very effective for online classes. All right, ask questions whenever you're in doubt. Please ask question. And last semester many students have just logged in for the sake of attendance. This is you're fooling yourself by doing so. It doesn't help you, right? Better not take this class and take up some other class if you are interested in other things. Okay, all right. So if your attendance is less than 80%, you will not be allowed to write. A last time I have allowed because of some reason that I didn't announce it earlier. So, and I have concurrence with your all course faculty advisors and your head of department and also director. Okay, and that's the condition I placed before them, that I will teach only when you will attend the class, otherwise it's meaningless for me. Okay, so today we'll cover course overview, little bit about security problem and challenges of providing security. All right, little bit about myself, you can go through this. I will put PPT. Right now, after my exit from industry, where IP Infusion, where I was managing director and VP, I have taken kind of semi-retirement. So I have been for 2 years I taught at IIT Goa, and then I had a break, and now I'm teaching at IIT Mandi for last 1 year. Okay, I also give consultancy to industry, and apart from that, I am investor. Okay, all right. So I invest in equity and also startup companies. Okay, any question? Okay, so when I say I'm a student, it means that I am still learning, right? I spend few hours a day doing new things. Hello? There is somebody who has someone has mic open, right? So that shows that some of you are not attentive right from class 1. Okay. All right. Okay, are you able to hear me? You'll have to unmute yourself and tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Sir.
Okay. All right, so in the course, we will learn about security basics. Note that many of you don't have any inputs on operating systems, which is very important, and also computer architecture. Some of you from CS have done this course, but not all. Okay. So we'll focus, we'll cover all the topics, but we'll not get into great details, right? We will understand the importance of why cybersecurity is important today. Basically, why do we need to learn about cybersecurity? Okay, and very importantly, we'll develop a mindset which is called adversarial mindset. Like any adversary will have a mindset, a thief will have mindset, a cyber criminal will have mindset. Okay, cyber criminals are very smart today, and many PhDs are cyber criminals, right? Cyber criminals are running organizations, so they think differently. Okay, you will have developed that kind of mindset, okay, to provide protection. So in order to provide protection, you may have to do some kind of, you must learn hacking techniques, okay, or you should learn how to, then you can actually handle how hackers actually will create threat to you, and you should be able to handle those threats, right? So we learn about security techniques, and then we'll use this knowledge and skills in designing security solutions. Now note that whatever career you choose, you will do programming or software development, maybe hardware development, considering that new companies, a lot of fabs are coming, and you also do system design. You're part of one of the three, right? And so you may have to apply these security techniques. When you do programming, you should be aware of that. Are you leaving some kind of security holes which cyber criminals can exploit? So there are a lot of techniques by doing secure programming. Okay, you'll have to, you just start thinking, how do you make your programming more secure? When you design a system, how do you make your system more secure? Okay, all right. We'll focus largely on system aspect of cybersecurity. Okay, which will require, of course, some knowledge of OS and computer architecture. Whatever knowledge is required, we'll cover in the class. Okay, so this is the detail. Course introduction is today. Computer security basics we'll learn. See, first few lectures will be on the basic concepts. Now, some of you may feel this is course pace is very slow, but these are all needed because you can apply these concepts even later when you become a professional. Okay, so this part is extremely basic, but you'll have to go through it, right? Okay, we'll go through CIA model. C stands for confidentiality, I stands for integrity, A stands for availability or authentication, both. Okay. Uh, okay, so CIA model is very important. When you design anything, you will have to see that that system provides confidentiality, integrity, and authentication, also availability. Then we look at security principles, some of the security principles. Okay, say for example, when you're designing your house, right? You may have a house, okay, and if your house is in a normal street like Greater Kailash in Delhi or Green Park or maybe some street in Calcutta and so on, right? Then you have to, when you're designing a house, then you'll have to think of security right from beginning. Okay, you design a house that is secure. Now, if you have a house already and then security threats are increasing, you'll have to think of how to enhance the security. You'll have to think of where cyber criminals can, or sorry, where criminals or thieves can attack and enter, right? What are the weak points? For example, you may not have a proper lock, or you may not have grills on windows, or you may have your roof exposed to anybody, and many other things, right? So when you go through all these concepts, then you will learn, how to design anything that is secure. Then we'll look at some of the security controls. We'll look at password is a very common method of authentication, user authentication, right? So when I use my email ID, whatever it is given by your institute at iitmandi@ac.in, this is my part of my credential or my user identity. Okay. Now I will be allowed with that user identity provided I am able to authenticate, or system is able to authenticate me, right? And that is by password. If my password matches the stored password, then I'm allowed. And there are a lot of other authentication methods like use of biometrics, etc. We'll look at some of these. Then we look at the big OS concepts, like what is the difference between program and process, and how a program becomes process. What is the memory layout? When you run a program is in your hard disk, right? Okay, program is in your hard disk. Okay, it's in a file, but you don't run a file, right? You compile it, make it executable, or even executable file you can store in hard disk. Like all the programs that I'm running now is executable program, right? It's in hard disk. But when it goes to main memory, right, then it becomes process. So we look at this concept, we'll look at x86 structure, and then we'll see most common threat or most common vulnerability is buffer overflow vulnerability, which people are still exploiting. Okay. Then we look at some other vulnerabilities like format string vulnerability. Look at what are different kind of access control. Password is of course one access control, and some other methods we'll look at. Then we look at why internet is inherently insecure. Okay, internet was not designed to be a secure entity. Okay, all right. It was designed when a speed was few kilobits per second. The idea was somehow you should be able to send message from one end to another end. All right. Then very important concept is cryptography. We'll spend a lot of time, about 10 hours or so, around cryptography, right? Not exactly on cryptography. We'll study cryptography part 1. We'll have also look at cryptographic algorithms. Then we look at some malwares like viruses, botnet, etc. Okay, we'll also look at cryptographic hash function, then digital signatures, authentication protocols. Now, after that, we'll move into network security, internet security, right? We'll look at physical and link layer security, network layer security. We may not study this topic, but if time permits, we will. We'll look at digital circuits, VPNs, IP security. IPsec is called, is a protocol, it's very heavy protocol called IPsec. Look at that. NAT, we'll look at network address translation. We'll look at firewalls, TLS, transport layer security, and TLS protocol. We'll look at intrusion detection, web security. We'll try to spend time on web security. Last time we couldn't get time for web security, but this time we should cover blockchain and Bitcoin. And if time permits, we'll look at blockchain applications. So we'll have about 40 to 42 lectures. Last time we had 42 lectures, right? This time also we may. All right. So we'll have this is a distribution of marks. We'll exam 1 with 15%, exam 2 with 40%, then last exam that you call it end sem exam or end term exam with 40% marks, assignments and quizzes 25%. There may be few surprise quizzes to encourage you to attend classes. Okay. Any question? No?
Sir, what is this exam 1 and exam 2, like mid-sem?
Mid-sem, before mid-sem there will be one exam, or maybe after mid-sem, we'll see. So you have structure like mid-sem and sem, right? What is the structure in your IT?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
only
Mid-sem
mid-sem and end-sem.
sem.
Okay, so we'll have 3 exams instead of 2. Idea is that some of you mess it up with one exam, so you have chance to improve. And after first exam, most of you in first exam, most of you are not serious. You'll get really a taste of your, what do you call that? You'll come to know your, you know, it will give you feedback for possibly doing hard work. Okay, and you will also come to know what kind of questions I will ask. Okay, assignments. The biggest challenge that I have with assignments is that your TAs have not done this course. Okay, and it's extremely difficult for me to correct the assignment of 100 plus students. Okay, all right. So assignments is, see, the difference between a good university and average university and bad university is that the contents in general are available anywhere. Okay, in fact there are online lectures available which may be as good as what we are doing here or even better than this. Okay, difference is only in the assignments. If you do your hands dirty, if you do a lot of assignments, do coding, actually do some kind of testing and so on, you learn more. But last time, a few assignments students did sincerely, but later on none of them did any, and 80% of students have copied assignment from each other. Then I gave up. Okay, the objective is that your objective, note that objective is not my learning. I'm not giving these assignments for my enjoyment. Okay, it doesn't matter to me, but it's for your learning. You go to MIT, Berkeley, Stanford, or wherever for your postgrad. The only thing you will see difference is in assignments. Okay, so if you don't do assignments, you're lost. Okay, so warning. Please don't take this course if you're not comfortable with attending classes. You don't need to. I mean, it's not necessary for you to do this course, take this course. You can do any course where you get good grades and you can manage without attending classes. You may find some classes like that anywhere. Okay, so this is my requirement and there's no dilution on this. All right, so you may have to think about it. And please don't take these courses if you don't want to make your hands dirty. Okay, I will randomly check your assignments. I don't have time to check everyone's assignment. I will just use a random algorithm, pseudo random algorithm, pick up one of your names and ask you to present it to the class. Okay, so don't if you just want to just read PPTs and give exam, please don't take this course. And also third thing is that you see, whatever I am teaching is incomplete here. Okay, I may be wrong also at times. I may have limited knowledge, right? I'm still not at the level of the authors of these books or papers. So they are expert. They have written book. They surely will have more knowledge, right? Okay. So you will have to read books and papers. That's mandatory. So I will give you assignments around that as well. Okay, so this course is structured around this basic course offered by University of California, Berkeley. It's called CS 161. All the contents that will cover, almost all the contents, is available here. Okay, this is a textbook, and you will see also a lot of other stuff out there. There also on YouTube, you can also see videos of the lectures. Okay, all right. So this is the primary text, primary source of information for us. Then we use other books like William Selling's books on computer security. Then Wen Liang Du's book on hands-on approach. There will be some assignment based on this book. Okay, and another good book is by Charles P. Plieger, I think. I don't know how to pronounce this name, and so on, right? And also we'll use this book by Paul C. Van or Short. Now these books may not be available to you for purchase. Okay, and these are very expensive books. So possibly there are free chapters available. With the dues books, I will send these to you. Okay, and otherwise you can go to this site where you will get lecture notes by Professor Du. Okay, all right. Okay, so now rest 15 minutes that we are left with, plus 20 minutes, we'll look at some contents. Okay, so if you ask your grandfather, and if you're lucky to have your grandfather now alive, or ask your grandmother, maybe about 80 years of age, please, or 75 years of age, please ask them what kind of threats they perceived when they were growing up. What kind of threats can be there, right? Just imagine life of your grandfather. What kind of threats were there? Or your father, when your father was in his school, right? Or maybe 7 or 10 years old or 15 years old. What kind of threats he or she, your grandmother, would have perceived at that time? So I'm sure your grandfather won't have been born at the time of Second World War, right? Maybe Second World War, maybe. No, but your father surely won't have. He would have born after independence, right? So what kind of threats were there in 1960s and 70s? Anyone?
Maybe food
Yeah, please.
scarcity.
Yes, very good. What else?
Also, sir, there are a lot of infections going around.
Yes, yes. Yeah, like malaria or chechak or one of those, right? Okay, so there are threats, related to nature, like, food security, flood, there's a dry spell, sukha, that's what we call in Hindi, or something like that. But at home, when they were at home, there was security with respect to some thief or dacoit will come inside house, steal and do all kind of things and take away all the valuables. All the assets were largely placed inside house, like your gold, jewelry, and so on and so forth, right? So that was another major threat. But I have not heard of this. Of course, these threats exist, but these threats have very little impact, right? Because I live in Bangalore, and that too I live in an apartment complex. I don't think anybody will find anything valuable in my house. And most expensive thing that I have in house is this phone, which costs about 30,000, 40,000 rupees, right? And with is now depreciate cost may not be more than 10,000. So what can a person steal today from house, right? Don't keep jewelries nowadays. TV thief cannot take. Clothes, nobody is interested in old clothes. Okay, so all the threats that my parents experience or your grandparents experience is no longer exists, right? Okay, so there are organizations which are tracking these kind of threats. Okay, and today threats are of course borderless. We'll come to this point. And there is one such organization called Director of National Intelligence, US, that publishes annual report. So please download these reports. It's available for last many decades. Okay, so I downloaded it for 2023 and saw what are the threats, right? And you can see that if you go through these reports, you will see 2000, year 2000 and earlier to that, there was no mention of cyber threat. Okay, there's hardly anybody spoke about, internet or cyber related threats. Then 2011, the report started mentioning about cyber threats, but it was much behind other threats, like, there was threat called West African drug trafficking, etc. 2010, terrorism became, very important, but it was behind terrorism, like 9/11 happened and so on and so forth. Then 2013, cyber threats became almost, it reached almost at the top. And now it is 2013 onwards, cyber threats are considered the biggest threats. And of course, there will be wars and terror and of course all that, but cyber is helping even terrorists or terror organization, right? Okay, in 2023 report says that globally malicious use of digital information communication technologies will become more pervasive, automated, targeted, and complex. Okay, so this becomes the biggest threat. And the war today is happening is essentially digital war. Okay, all right. And all of us will be impacted because of cyber threats, right? Like, imagine your father must have earned all the money with all the effort and then would have created a user account password for the bank account, right? Or bank would have given. Okay, bank would have given user account, user ID, and the father would have created password. Imagine someone can transfer all your parents' money from the bank accounts. So this kind of hacking is, you will say, how is it possible? Is it possible that somebody transfers all the money from your account? Is there no such case that happened? Can it happen? Or has it happened? Hmm? So what do you do? I mean, if you have account in any bank, I don't know which bank you have there, maybe Canara Bank or Indian Bank or something, in IT Mandi, and you have account there, can somebody steal money from there? So what does it require? First, somebody should have credentials, your user ID and password. Okay, that's enough for logging you in. Then someone will create some account where so somebody will add a, what do you call that, where money can be transferred or payee account. The second thing, that will require OTP. OTP will come to you by email or by SMS, and that person will add himself or herself. What else is the third step? Then you will transfer the money because he or she has credentials, and again OTP will come and then can transfer the money. But question is that you'll say that if the OTP comes, I will not tell cyber criminal. If OTP comes to me, will not tell cyber criminals. How is it possible then? Right. It's possible by placing a small malware in your mobile. Okay, and I will do this transaction midnight. Okay, I as a cyber criminal will do add myself into your account as a payee, and then OTP will come to my mobile, and my malware or agent will read that and tell me what that OTP is. Again, malware can send email or whatever. And now after 24 hours, if you notice it, then well, you can take care of it. But most of us don't notice anything that happens in night. Next day also, we don't notice something has happened. Okay, and generally we ignore emails from banks because they keep sending spam. Okay, and then next night your money is transferred. I've told you one technique. Okay, now question you will ask is that how can somebody can place malware into my mobile? There are hundreds of methods of putting malware into your device. All right, somebody, and something is other next thing is very common where somebody can use your parents or your credit and debit card and use it. Okay, that's very common now. Okay, now you are happily doing all the things at home and somebody can record all your conversations by hacking your mobile. It can hack your router and steal all your credentials. Okay, so I will ask you since you are engineering student and then you are all are aware about IT, right? So how many of you, and I'm sure most of you have Wi-Fi router at home, right? All right. How many of you have set Wi-Fi router's password, user ID and password? Now remember that there is a device, okay, which is router, which of course will have some kind of layer 2 device underneath, but there is a router here, and then there is antenna. Okay, through antenna you have various SSIDs, right, or channels. Okay, for example, I have created one channel is Mithal 1. Name SSID is Mithal 1, and I've created a password for that. Okay, so anybody, if somebody comes to my house and looks at this, tries to log in, but my password doesn't allow that login, right? That's what we have done. Anything more than that have you done? Okay, to secure your router? Yeah, I'm asking you guys.
Limits on the number of devices connected. We can restrict how many devices.
Yeah, you say that 5, 6, 7, whatever, 10, 20, whatever. That doesn't matter. For every, yeah, that doesn't matter. No? See, every device, remember one thing that every device, whether your refrigerator or your mobile or your whatever, okay, your washing machine that is interconnected must have a user ID and password. Okay. Now, if you have not, now this, when these routers are given to you by companies like Airtel or whatever, they come with default user ID and password. And password is as simple as password or whatever. Okay. Now, how many of you have set this default password, change default password to something more meaningful? Right? And number of, now I have access to a router because anything that's connected to internet I can access. Yeah, that's principle of internet. Then I can go to your machine and try and log in. In order to connect, I will just use some basic program. Okay, and that your router will say user ID, it's right user ID and password. User ID is default user ID and password is default password. I will go to your router and place my small malware. Okay, and all this malware can do the following: whatever conversation is happening through your router, it will send a copy of that to me. Okay, so I am the master and your router will keep sending this to me. So anything that's passing through your router that's unencrypted, I can always see. Okay, and this method is used by cyber criminals all over the world, and it is seen that about 90% plus routers in India are unprotected. Okay, we'll discuss these points later. Okay, and a lot of digital threats are there. When somebody hacks the flight or the aeroplane, that you are flying with, right? What will happen? Aeroplanes are all internet connected nowadays. Much worse thing can happen, right? Somebody can steal your photograph live from the camera, webcam, or actually take the photo and then create obscene images out of that and publish. This again a kind of cyber crime. How do you handle all this in future? Okay, cyber criminals don't care that you are a very nice boy or nice girl. They don't have sympathy with anybody, right? They will steal everything that's available. Okay, so this course can help you about some of these things, right? And idea is that you can help not yourself but also society, your friends, relatives, and whoever, you know, to handle with these crimes. At least you create awareness that you can, you know, about cyber security. Okay, now in general we'll discuss now about security. Security is nothing but freedom from potential harm caused by others. This is a very generic definition of security, applies to cyber and physical security. Okay, in general we want to protect our assets against attacks. Now these, what are the assets then? It could be yourself as a human being, your body, it could be your mind, it could be your money, it could be your digital information, digital identity, etc. Right? You can define all the assets which, if taken away from you or which are corrupted, can cause harm to you. Okay, so assets could be anything. All right, now how do we protect ourselves? So security essentially means protecting confidentiality, data privacy. When we say something is confidential, it means that nobody apart from me should know about it. Or if you are sending the message or information to your partner, trusted partner, then it should be known only to two people. What is privacy? Privacy is something that I don't want to, my information about myself or my assets, which I don't want to reveal it to anybody. Okay. What is data and computer integrity? Integrity is that when I send a message to you that you have passed the exam with A grade, somebody in between should not change it to the message that you have failed in the exam and got the worst possible grade. That's the integrity. So whatever I'm sending from one end must reach to other end exactly as it is. It's called integrity. What is authentication? Whatever you are receiving, you should be able to confidently say that yes, it has come from me. Okay, and availability is something, resources should remain available. Like, you know, if there is a nuclear power plant and cyber criminals attack it, then plant should still generate electricity. All right, so it's very important to us, and in future it will actually become much more important. Okay, and then this invasion to your privacy and confidentiality happening in the world every day, like Twitter, if you say Twitter or Capital One or Facebook, all these have been hacked. And your data is available in general to cyber criminals. And there is actually you can buy your data also or anybody's data. National security, of course, I mean power within India, the nuclear power plants have been attacked. Health records have been attacked recently in AIMS. Data breach happened in 2021. SBI's data breach happened in 2019. SBI stands for State Bank of India. The nuclear power plant breach happened in 2019. So, you know, any asset or any organization that's connected over internet is vulnerable. Okay, and these security incidences or incidents are increasing in India like exponential pace, because everybody Like in my house, there are house staff, or or we don't call nowadays servants. It's a very derogatory word, but house help are available, right? I mean, and they have all of them have data connectivity, internet connectivity, and all of them do internet banking. And simplest form of internet banking is, of course, Google Pay or etc., etc., right? All right. So all of them are vulnerable today. Common security concept we'll study in this course is access control. Like when you are going to a bar, okay, and if you are say 5 years old or 10 years old, you are not allowed to go in. So it's nothing but restriction of access. Like, or you go to cinema hall, right? You show a ticket, only then they let you enter. If and you go to airport, then you have to show your identity card as well, right? Then something called assurance is expression of confidence. Authorization, so somebody will authorize me to get into a lab, for example, or in office, right? So there is, so I am authorized to use something. It's called specifying access rights. Exploit is nothing but vulnerability. Threat is potential cause of harm, vulnerability, degree to which something can be changed by external forces, and so on. Identity management, resilience. So please go through all this. Okay. Okay. Security problem, as we mentioned, now are different than what it was some 30 years back. If you go to an island, which is a very small island, okay, you are the only person out there, and there's no internet, no mobile, then you don't need any cyber security. You don't need, because there's no internet connection, right? Okay. Now you are living in hyper connected world, right? Okay. Imagine number of connections that you have, and you are being tracked every second. Every second you are being tracked by not only by apps, but a lot of other means. Okay. And what we see in future, that things will become computer things, right? A computer is getting attached everywhere, right? Like most complex computer today is not in a laptop or mobile, it's in the car. Car in general has, modern cars have about 20 computers running all the time. Okay. Refrigerator, microwave, oven. So we can say refrigerator is a computer that cools things down. Microwave is oven that heats things up. Okay. So computer is basic now today, and that gets attached to a physical device to enhance its utility or use. Okay. So now if you attack this computer, everything gets attacked. Okay. And computers are coming everywhere. At the same time, this computer alone has meaningless. Okay. These computers have no use until they are connected to internet, because internet gives you flexibility to operate from anywhere. So you can see now all these applications that we are using, that combines both computer and internet. Okay. And everything is becoming smart, okay, because of computers and internet attached to that, right? Like smart cities, smart cars, street lighting, and so on, IoT, etc., etc. So now this hyper connected world has become highly unsafe world. Okay. Okay. Now very simple question to you. You are using, all of you are using mobile. Okay. What are the number of lines of code in your mobile phone? Anybody?
Few millions.
Very good. It's around now 20 to 25 million. I worked for a few years in Symbian and Nokia. Okay, at that time in Nokia handset Symbian OS, it was about 6-7 million. It took about 10 years to develop this, right? So how much time will require to develop 20-25 million lines of code? LOCs we call it, right? a software developer in general with today's productivity develops about 20 lines of code per day. Okay, of course, this includes testing time and so on and so forth. So it will require huge amount of time to develop. And how many people? Thousands or tens of thousands of people. Say 30,000, 40,000 people over last 10 years have developed this code, like your Android or iOS, etc. Right? And iOS has taken a lot of stuff from Linux. So is Android. Okay. Now I will say it's more than 15 is now 25 million. Or 20, in the range of 20 to 25 million. Who is testing this? How many releases are happening of phone? Every day a new phone is coming. Who's testing all this? How much time will it require to test 25 million lines of code? So you have a code, you make a small change, and then you test this part and release it. Is it good enough? No, this part may impact any part of the code, and you're not going to do full testing. Well, full testing is very expensive. When software development time in industry, if you look at the cost of software testing, it is about 40% cost goes in testing alone. So result of why I'm telling all this is that none of the devices that you see today are fully tested. Okay. And attack surface, of course, increasing. Attack surface is surface which can be targeted by cyber criminals. If there are 20 million lines of code, there can be attack points at many places. Okay. All right. And security is really becoming complex because security does not come free. This point we will study later. Security requires costs. If you are given as a user a choice of non-secure phone for 10,000 rupees and highly secure phone for 20,000 rupees with same features, you will not buy with good probability phone with 20,000 rupees, right? So it's very expensive to do testing and providing security. Okay, internet is highly flexible, right? It gives anonymity. You can send a IP message, internet message to President of US and write whatever you write. Nobody can track you because you can change the IP. Nobody can stop you from sending. You can remain anonymous. And of course, attackers are always have advantage over protector. Like your campus, right? If you have to provide security of the campus, then you have to provide at least 10,000 security guards to protect each and every place where intruder can come in. So intruder has advantage of coming from anywhere, right? So cyber criminals can attack from anywhere. But in order to provide protection, you have to spend huge amount of money, and that's also not possible. Okay, because attackers need to win only at one place, where defenders need to defend at all places. All right. So that's all for today's class. Any question you may ask, if you have. Yeah. Okay then. See you tomorrow morning. Bye.